fine. And that's fine.
Yep. Is it being, it is recording?
It is recording. It's got
Yeah,
the thing
lovely.
there. Fabulous.
Okay.
Good morning. Can everybody hear me? Give me a thumbs up or a
Well, microphones are not enabled.
message.
What you can do is over here is click on
Okay.
that one to enable microphones if they wanted to. Do you just click on allow microphone? You got to click on it there, not click on. But most people
Oh, I
we
got a
some
thumbs up. I got a thumbs
Thank you
up.
very
Thank
much.
you for that.
Most people write
It's
in the chat if they have
Yeah.
any questions. So that's fine too.
Yeah. So I am allowing mic. You obviously can turn it off yourself and on yourself. And you can type in the chat if you have any questions. And thank you for the thumbs up. I know that you're hearing me. I am going to share my screen with you so that you can see the PowerPoint that we're working through today, all about staying safe online, helping our students and children to stay safe online, and the things that we do in school and the things that you can do at home to help as well. So if you have any questions, you can put them in the chat, or at the end, I'll open the microphones and you can ask any questions that you have then as well. So please let me know if you cannot see the PowerPoint, the slides that I'm sharing with you. Okay, I am going to start then. So the aim of today is to just discuss some of the potential risks that children face when they're online, the importance of being open with them and how to kind of open conversations, how to keep those lines of communication open with the children so that they know who they can turn to if they have any questions. There's some links and some advice on here to help. Oh, cannot see. Maybe it's only a problem for me. Can other people see my slides? Can you please let me know if you can see the slides? Chat here. Let's open that one. Cannot see.
Gabrielle, I can
So
see
I
it.
can see it. Okay.
I don't know why the name can't see it.
No. Doesn't say anything on there, does it? That's just about the microphone and the cameras. Just typing again. Sorry, just want to make sure that everybody can see. Okay. Okay, thank you for that. The slides will be shared. It's being recorded as well. They'll be shared through
The parent
Wakelet. So if you want to go back later to look for the slides or to re-listen to the video, you can do that on the parent Wakelet. So as I was saying, this is just for us to talk and find out ways that we can help to keep the children safe, really, when they're online or when they're on devices. There will be some help later on. Some links and some tips on how to set up parental controls and things that you can do if your child or even yourself do encounter problems while you're online. And for those who have just joined, if you do have any questions, please feel free to pop them in the chat and I'll answer them when I see them. There will be a chance at the end to discuss that as well. So obviously we do this regularly because children today use technological equipment constantly. They can access the internet, they can interact with people online and other technology, and this is amazing. It has some great benefits. It has great benefits for keeping in contact with family and people at distances. It has great benefits for education and learning, but alongside that, it does also bring some risks with it. That we should all be aware of, and also we should be aware of how we can help to minimize those risks and how to help children stay safe while they're online. So it's important that parents and teachers work alongside the children and the students, helping to teach them how to stay safe and be aware of these risks. Throughout all of our computing lessons in school, there will always be an underlying theme of staying safe online. And then this week, once a year, there is a week where it's highlighted even more, Safer Internet Week. And that's when we have this webinar as well. So in order for us to be able to help them, we need to understand how it all works and ways to support and stay safe ourselves. Otherwise, we can't help to teach the children to stay safe online. So we need to be aware of the potential hazards and what we could do to do that. In the same way that we teach our children, sorry, there's somebody trying to come on in. In the same way that we teach our children to stay safe on the roads, we talk to them about crossing the roads, we talk to them about the dangers, we model how to cross the road safely, and we teach them what to watch out for, what might be a high-risk situation, and those teachable moments of when we're crossing the road, is this a safe place to cross? Those kinds of things is really important that we approach internet safety in the same way, by discussing how to stay safe, by modeling how to stay safe, by using safe practices ourselves, and by pointing out anything that might come up and discuss it with them as a teachable moment, not trying to hide those things from them. I know we want to shelter our children from all the dangers in the world, but I think they reach a certain age where it's more helpful to teach them about those dangers and teach them to stay safe from them. We teach them how to stay safe in a crowd, how to stay close to us, and if they get lost, what to do, and who are the trusted adults. And it's the same thing with staying safe online, what to look out for, who they can turn to if they encounter any problems, who are trusted adults, is an important conversation to have at the beginning. So tips for keeping children safe online is if we take that same approach, we talk about the internet dangers, we don't have to specifically name content. Depending on the age of your child, there are certain things that you might not want to obviously discuss in detail, but just helping your child to stay safe if something pops up that they're not sure of, teaching them, don't click on anything, don't do anything, just let me know, I'll have a look, and then kind of discussing that with them. Because naming the content is like trying to describe a stranger. We teach children how to stay safe when we're out and about and not go off with strangers. You can't describe what a dangerous stranger looks like because it could look like anybody. The same kind of thing on the internet. You can't specifically name or describe the danger. It's more about using modeling and common sense and strategies just to stay safe and try and avoid those dangers in the same way that we will try and avoid dangers when out and about. So on the internet, some of the risks that children face, children in particular, cyberbullying. Cyberbullying has always been kind of a big one for online, because bullying obviously in the playground, bullying outside of school, bullying inside of school is always difficult. Cyberbullying is bullying online, which has the added difficulties of not always being sure who it is that's doing it. It's not always obvious to see, because if somebody's sitting on a computer, you can't always see exactly what's happening. So it's really important that we have conversations with the children and let them know what is acceptable behavior online and what isn't acceptable behavior online. So if anybody says anything to them or sends them anything that is unacceptable, that makes them feel uncomfortable in any way, they know that they can talk to an adult, talk to you, talk to their teachers, talk to somebody that they trust, to address that and to help them with that. Communicating with strangers is an online safety issue, because we don't always know who it is that we're talking to, particularly children in games. So this is something that I think is important for children and parents to be aware of. websites that are appropriate for their age, sharing sensitive information, financial information if they have access to any financial information, but even sensitive information, things like which school do they go to, what is their name, where do they live. All of those kinds of things are things that children should know that they should not share with anybody online. If it's a real friend, somebody that they see at school and then they play with in a game online, they can see them at school and they can talk to them at school with things like that. But this kind of information should never be shared online. Viruses, if something pops up that they're unsure of, really for the children, the main thing that we have to teach them is don't do anything with it, tell an adult. And then we, as the adults, can have a look, see what the risk is, see if it's safe, just close it down, report it if needs be. Again, later in the PowerPoint, there are links to websites that can help with things like that. Clickbait and pop-ups, they're the ones that pop up and they are made to look appealing. It might be, oh, you can have this new character in this game. Just click here. Those kinds of things can be a risk. Scams. Scams is the focus of our lessons in school this week, along with other ways to keep safe online. So we're going to be talking to children this week all about scams, how to notice them, how to avoid them, and what we should not do. And then AI. AI is just becoming apparent now because it's a reasonably new technology. It's developing at quite a fast rate, and it's an amazing technology. It can be used in some fabulous ways, but again, with all new technology, there are some new risks that come with that. So I'm going to start to talk about that in this one, but that's something that as AI develops, we will add more into our lessons in school as well. So to begin with, the risks of gaming. Gaming is what a lot of the children like to do at home on different devices. It might be a computer, an iPad, a phone even. And a lot of online games now have communication features so that they can talk to their friends, which again is great, but comes with some risks. And we need to make sure that the children know that who they are talking to is a friend, and that they know the difference between somebody who is an outside of internet, outside online friend, like a real friend who they have met in person, and a friend who they might talk to in a game, but need to be much more cautious with because they don't actually know who that is. So we will talk about that. And again, AI poses some more problems here because it's another way that people could, if they wanted to, pretend to be somebody that they're not. It's easy enough to have your profile picture as a picture that you've got from online. It's not necessarily you, and children need to be aware of that, and we need to help them understand that. Again, cyberbullying, that can come across in games, with children being mean to each other, children excluding each other, all of those bullying strategies that happened outside of online now happen online as well. And again, the main message is talk to the children, make sure that they know that they can talk to somebody. And this is where scam artists can come in as well. They can promise them things for the game and ask them for information. It's really important children know not to give any information out online and to ask an adult about it first. Some game consoles also allow internet access, so it's important to know that if they're on a games console, it could be just as, you know, the risks of being on a computer and being able to access the internet and different websites are also on some of those games consoles because they can access the internet with them and communicate. So this week we are looking at scams in school. So a scam is where somebody tries to trick somebody to get something from them. It could be that they're asking for money for something. It could be that they're asking for something in a game. It could be that they're asking for personal information. So what we are talking to the children about this week in school is this acronym, the SCAM. So S, if it seems too good to be true. You know, if you get that text that, you know, this amazing deal, all these fabulous things just for 10 forint or $2 or whatever, if it seems too good to be true, it probably is. So question it. Contact when you weren't expecting it. Those emails that we get saying, oh, you have won this prize. All you have to do is send us your phone number or bank details, and we will transfer it to you. If you weren't expecting to be contacted, again, question it. It might be genuine, but more often than not, it won't be. If somebody is asking for your personal information, that's a no. Don't give out personal information. Children need to know not to give out personal information, and they need to understand what personal information is. Personal information could be the school that they go to. It could be the park that they play in. And there was a case of somebody talking to somebody online, and they didn't give the name of their school. They didn't give the names of anywhere, but they were in what they deemed to be an innocent discussion, were discussing the things that they could see, the things that were near their house. And strangers can work out where you are or the area that you're in from things like that. So just modeling and teaching children to keep all of that personal information personal. And then anything that's asking for money or asking for you to trade something is also suspicious and should be questioned. If we do online shopping, we go online, we look for what we want, that's different. If something comes to us and says, oh, you should have this, send us this money, then that should be questioned. And we should model that so that students and children can follow our behaviors. Just a quick mention, like I said, about AI. I'm not going to go into too much detail in this webinar. There's lots of information online about it now. There are some links to websites later in the PowerPoint, as I said, that have lots of help pages and other support on them. So as I mentioned, AI, a lot of content can be generated by AI now. People can use it to pretend to be somebody that they're not. It can look very realistic. The AI characters that they can create now, the AI generated people look very realistic. There are sometimes little tell points, but it's very hard to tell. So again, I would treat talking to AI in the same way as talking to a stranger online. If you are chatting with a friend, or if your child is chatting with a friend on a game, if it's not somebody that they've met in person, treat it as a stranger, because that is what it is. Also, using AI, lots of people now use AI to put information into it, and then it will create something for them. I know as teachers, we sometimes put information into AI to create an example text or a story that we want the children to have a look at. If you or your children are using AI in that way, again, be aware of what information you are putting into the AI. And if it's personal information, again, it should be kept personal, because there are risks involved with giving your personal information online, whether it's to AI, whether it's to a website, or whether it's to somebody chatting in a game. And really with AI, just to keep reminding children that not everything is real. Things that they see online might not be what they think. I could go online and say I'm a 6-year-old boy, and clearly not. But if there's no camera, they haven't met me in person. I could put a picture up there. I can take a picture from somewhere else. So it is important that students and children are aware of these risks, and to be aware of who they are. If it's online, just that extra caution, keep personal things to real life conversations, and somebody who they know who they are talking to. And as I said, AI is continually evolving, so we will keep an eye on that. We'll keep including it in computing lessons in school, and if anything becomes apparent to me, I will reach out and let everyone know. So mostly we're here to learn about how we can help, and how we can model, and how we can show children how to be safe online. So we start off by making sure that you explore things together. Make sure that you talk to each other. show children that the internet is a great place. It can be a great place. There are some funny things on there. I love dog videos. I love the dog videos on YouTube and what's the other one? Instagram and those kinds of things. But there's lots of other things that we need to be aware of as well. So it's okay to allow children access to the internet as long as we're monitoring it, as long as we're talking to them, and as long as they know that there's great things about the internet. It can be used for education, it can be used for fun, it can be used for games, but also there are risks to it in the same way that there are risks with crossing the road or with being in a large crowd. So talking to them, sharing things together, and being honest and open about things will create an atmosphere and a community where they feel safe to talk to you about things that they don't understand. If they see something online that they don't understand or that they don't like, they will know that they can then talk to you about it. Sit by each other when they're sit by them. Have the computer where you can see it. Talk to them about their new games. Talk to them about the rules and show an interest, because then they're more likely to talk to you about it as well. And while you're doing that, again, you can explain that there are risks involved in this, and that you should be careful if somebody starts chatting to them online and they're not sure who it is, in a game or on a website, in a chat room, those kinds of things. And like I say, just the more you talk to them and the more open you are with them, I think the more comfortable they will feel talking to you. Rules of use. It's important that you have rules in your house for when and how your children can use the internet or devices. You can set time limits. You can set limits on the websites that they can see. You can set it up so that they have to ask you if they want to install a new game, and things like that. And it's really important that children are aware of those rules and that they can ask you about games. You can make on one of the websites, it's the ChildNet website. There's a link to it here. There's a lot of help pages on there for parents in particular. There's a section that's for parents, and that has an example of a contract or an agreement, whether you want to call it a contract or whether you just want to talk about house rules, internet rules, whatever it is. But there should be some understanding of when and how children can access the internet and go online. That website also includes some advice on how to set up parental controls. So it's quite useful. Again, having a common space. I know a lot of people, the children have their games in their bedroom, which if that's how you have it, that's fine, that's up to you. But I suggest that devices should be used in a common area so that everybody can see. It's very open. There's no secrecy, there's no hiding away, because there shouldn't be. If your child is doing something online that you agree with and that everybody is aware of, then they should feel comfortable doing that in front of you. And it helps you to see what they're doing, to keep half an ear in while you're doing something else of who they're talking to or the kind of things that they're saying. And it's also really useful for them. So if they do see something, or if they need some help, whether it's technical support or whether it's a concern with something that they've seen or heard, you're close by, and then that is easy for them to ask you for help. It's also a really good way of ensuring that I've had parents before ask me, how can I stop them from playing on their game at bedtime? Like, if it's not in their bedroom, it's much easier. So there is that. A lot of social networks and games have an age rating. So try to be aware of that. Keep an eye on what it is. A lot of social networks only allow people over the age of 13 to register. I have worked in schools before where younger students had profiles on these social networks because they had lied about their age and they had changed the year of their birth. So just be aware, if they're talking about Facebook and they're under 13, first, they shouldn't be on Facebook, which means that they or somebody has created a fake age for them. And there's a reason for that. There's a reason that children under the age of 13 shouldn't be on these things, because they're not always as closely monitored as some of the other ones. There are lots of safe websites for students, for children. There's YouTube Kids, rather than just YouTube Kids space, Mio Kids. There's lots of things on there. And I've put on there and I've highlighted it, be aware of older siblings, because again, I have seen in the past where there has been a younger student has kind of been exposed to things that they shouldn't have seen and that they didn't understand. And it came out in a game they were playing in the school. And it came out that the reason they'd seen it is because they were sat next to their older brother or sister, I can't remember which it was, and while they were watching something that was suitable for their age, they were 16, they were watching something that was suitable for a 16-year-old. Their 8-year-old brother, it wasn't suitable for them. So just to be aware, in with TV shows and games as well as online. If you, another way to help is if your child is playing on a tablet or your phone while you're out and about, if there's data on it, if you just switch it to flight mode, then that will stop anything from coming in from online, and it will stop them from accessing anything online that they don't need to. If you have a game downloaded on a phone or a tablet, you can still access the game and play it if you put flight mode on, and it just stops. It's just an added barrier to stop them from getting onto something that they shouldn't. Sorry, I need to grab a tissue. We have there's a bit of a cold going around my classroom at the moment. So then parental controls, it's important and helpful if you can install some parental controls on devices. You can install limits on devices, but you can also install parental controls on the home network and the equipment. Your internet provider can help with that. I know that Telecom Hungary has a link on their website that will help you set parental controls. It could be a time limit. It could be after a certain time of the day, certain things can't be accessed. It can block specific websites and things like that. If there is only one computer in your house and the whole family use it, then another way to ensure that everybody can access what they need to, because obviously adults need to access different things, older siblings might need to access different things. You can set up different profiles on the computer, and then if everybody has their own password, they can access the things that they need to, but not necessarily access the other things that are needed for other members of the family. And again, the ChildNet website, there's a link at the end of the slides. There's another link to a website called internetmatters.org. They have help and advice on how to do that. This one about talking to friends. I mentioned briefly already, but just ensuring that children know the difference between a real life friend that they've met face to face and an online friend or an online buddy, that we call it, who they might chat to just in a game. I'm not saying that that's not okay, but again, just to be a little bit more cautious, be a little bit more aware. Don't share any personal information with somebody online. If it's a real friend that you're going to see at school the next day, wait until the next day and talk to them at school. And just ensuring that children know the difference between a friend that they see in person and somebody who they chat to online, because as I said before, it's really easy as well to pretend that you are somebody online, and that's not actually who you are. So if it's not somebody that you know in person, that extra caution, those extra steps that we take to make sure that we're safe. And how can you help? This one about making mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. I make mistakes. I'm sure you make mistakes. Children are more likely to make mistakes because they don't have as much experience as us or as much knowledge, and they're still learning. So if they do make a mistake and they click on something that they shouldn't, it's really important that we are supportive and try not to blame them or go over the top with it, because that will encourage them to not come to us the next time they make a mistake. And we want them to know that it's okay to make mistakes. We want them to know how to handle those mistakes, who they can turn to for help, and that when they do turn to those adults for help, that those adults will help them, and not just blame them or judge or take things away from them. It's really important that we learn from the mistakes, in the same way that in maths, in English, in class, if we make a mistake, or in behavior mistakes, it's really important that we learn from them. And the only way they can do that is if we model to them how to move on from that mistake. So, some top tips for keeping children safe online. The first one was to keep your computer in a high traffic area. Again, nothing's hidden, nothing's secret. You can see what's happening, and they know that everything that they're doing is what has been agreed, is allowed, that you're allowing them to go on, the games that they can play, the sites that they can visit. Establish limits, so which sites that they can go on, and also for how long for. That helps to keep their screen time down, encourage them to play other games, outdoor games, board games, lots of different activities, all aimed at developing different parts of a child's development. Monitor individual mobile and tablet devices, the ones that they can move around with. It's much easier for them to sit in their room. And when I was talking about the cyberbullying, it's hard to see if they're in their room, if they're reacting to something. It's harder for us to see. So just kind of keeping an eye on where they're using them, when they're using them, and how they're using them. And explore together, explore the internet together, explore games together. The more you talk to them about it, the more they will talk to you. Know who they're talking to online, and then to check their browser search history regularly. I mean, there are ways, and again, the links at the end of the slides have help pages and support pages to show you how to do all of these things, how to set up parental controls, how to check browser history, especially if they do have it in a separate room, and you're not sure, or if you have any concerns, that's a good way to just have a little check and see if they may have seen something that has upset them that they haven't spoken to you about, and then you can start to open that discussion. So the next slide is how to open those kinds of discussions. So there's a few discussion starters here. I won't go through them all because you can read them. As I said at the beginning, this will be on the parent Wakelet, along with the video. So you can go back and have a look at this anytime you want, but just some questions just to get them started. The second one, what is personal information and what should we keep private? They're quite important ones. They're ones that we do talk about in school. So the children should know what those are, but please do talk to them about it as well. And then just some questions here on what they should do if they see something, who can they go to, make sure that they know who trusted adults are, and make sure they know that they can go to them and ask them if they've seen or heard something that they're not happy with. I mean, it's hard to describe, it's hard to be specific about it, but if it's something, I always say, if it's something that has made you not happy, if you're not happy about what you've seen, or it's made you sad in any way, or it's made you worried in any way, then talk about it. It might be something that's innocent, in which case you can discuss it, problem solved. I've just lost my internet. Oh, am I back? I think I just lost you for a moment, so apologies for that. Parental controls. So as I said, your internet provider, you can put parental controls on your household internet. You can put parental controls and passwords on mobiles, laptops, tablets, app store settings. So you can have it set up so that you have to put a password in so that they can't constantly click through and buy things on the App Store, which I'm sure your bank balance would appreciate. Games consoles, again, just being aware that a lot of games consoles these days also have internet access. It's not just for playing a game. They could get online with that as well. YouTube settings. Again, I recommend using YouTube Kids because of the age range of our students. YouTube Kids has more than enough for what they should need. And then streaming services also have their own way of setting up passwords and controls so that you can monitor and control what your children can see and can access. A lot of those, apologies again, on their websites, they will have an area on their website that will help you to set up those controls and those limits. And then this website here is the Internet Matters one that I was talking about. This is really helpful for setting up parental controls on different devices and services. It takes you through each thing step by step. It has a screenshot, so it is really user-friendly. If you want to set up parental controls on any of your devices or services and you're not sure how to do that, that is a really good starting place. Parental controls for your home network. As I said, I do know that Telecom Hungary have parental controls advice, and there's a link to that website there. If your internet provider is not Telecom, I am sure that they will have something as well. I'm sure you can approach them and ask them how to set up the controls for your home network. And then more discussions with the children. What should they do? Now, these are conversations that we have in computing classes in school, but I think it's really important for children that you have the same conversations at home so that they realize the same rules apply. Sometimes rules in school are different to rules at home, but with this kind of thing, I think it's really important that they understand it's a rule for everywhere as a way to keep them safe. So if anything pops up, don't click on it. Ask an adult. There should be an adult nearby or somebody that they can trust. Think about what they would say if it was face to face. So this is about being respectful and being kind online. Sometimes it's easy for children to forget that they might be talking to a real person. So just to stop and think about what you're saying, and if you were face to face with that person, would you say the same thing? Leave the device open. If they've seen something or if something's popped up, leave it open. Tell an adult so that the adult can then come and see it and show the adult. We do the same thing in class. If anything happens, they leave it open and they just let me know. And then I'll take their computer and have a look at it and see if it's something that needs following up or if it's something else. And then just talk about how it made them feel. Let them ask any questions if they feel that they need to, and please try and answer those as honestly as possible. Again, appropriately to the age of your child. There are things they don't need to know, details they don't need to know, but it does help to let them know that there are risks and it's important to ask questions if they have them. So then what should you do? As I said, try not to overact. Sometimes children get embarrassed and sometimes they get angry or frustrated. And try to model that calm, that it's okay to make mistakes, but that we should learn from those mistakes. If they have been receiving any kind of mean messages, abusive messages, with the cyberbullying, keep a record of it because you might need to refer back to that later. If it's particularly serious, you'll definitely need a record of it. If it's serious enough to report it to the police or the school, please do. And then illegal content. Obviously, I'm hoping that everybody's aware that if anything that's illegal comes up, images of abuse, images that are not appropriate, to report them straight away. And then my last one here, these are the links to some useful sites. So you've got the childnet.com site there, the one that I mentioned, saferinternet.org. That's where I get a lot of the information that we use in school as well. NetSmarts, Kid Smart. And then actually the other one that I mentioned is not on here, but it was on one of the previous slides. On this slide here. This is internetmatters.org. So for the parental controls, and the link to the telecom one is on the parental control slide as well. This one at the bottom, that's my email address. So if you have any questions or if you want any further information about any of this, please feel free to email me, or I can take any questions now. If anybody has anything they want to ask, you can drop it into the chat and I'll reply, or you can I think I took most people's microphones off so that you can use your microphone if you would like to. Let me see here. We did talk to them about so their planner. I agree. We talked about why when we created the passwords, we did talk about why you should never write your passwords down. And I encourage them not to write their password down. Their login, like their email and their QR codes and things, are in their planner at the moment, which they do need. I can certainly have a look into other options for online storage of those. I think that's a good point. So I will make a note of that. Thank you. And I'll have a look at that. Now, we did talk about when we're doing this, how the school ones, obviously all the teachers in school have their logins, parents might have their logins, and as they get older, it becomes much more important to not share those things. I've said to my class, and I know other teachers have, at the moment, they should share their logins and their passwords with parents because they're not adults themselves yet. They're not, and I think it's really important that they do that for all of their accounts until they're of the age that you as the parent decides is appropriate, whether it's 16, whether it's 18, whether it's older. But I do think at the moment it's important that we do have access to those if we need it, because if something did happen and they weren't opening up to us, or they weren't sure how to handle it, then we could either you could check, or if we had concerns, we would contact you to see if we could have permission to check certain things. But yes, an online place might be a good idea for that. So I will look into that. Thank you for bringing that up. Are there any other questions? Yes. I should have brought that with me. Last year, for Safer Internet Week, I had a storybook about a dragon. I have it in my class. So when I go back, what I could do is, let me make a note of your name. I can send it. All right. What I could do, I'll ask Mrs. Morton to attach it with this recording and the slides to the Parent Weight Clip, because there is a fictional book aimed at children about how to stay safe online. So I will include an image of the cover and the name and the author with this. I believe there's a dragon in it. It's a story about a dragon staying safe online, which they loved last year. So I will pass that on. And again, if you do have any questions, if you think of something later that didn't occur to you now, or if you're talking this through with somebody else in the family and something pops up, then please remember my email is on the end of the slides. Please drop me an email and I will respond to you as soon as I see it. Thank you. I'm glad you found it useful. You're welcome. Thank you. Bye. Enjoy the rest of your day.